Today we're outside of Cazenovia and we have a great vista right behind me that is illuminated by this morning light. Really looking forward to painting here. I'm standing kind of on top of this rock. The ground that I have to stand on is so slanted that I had to find a place to stand and paint from. So this rock is as good as any. It's not really comfortable to stand on, but that's okay. I took a moment and introduced myself to the farmer whose place this is. His dad actually came up with the Pillsbury Doughboy. So they're from Minneapolis, and the Pillsbury Doughboy was created back in maybe the 50s or 60s. And his dad was responsible for the Pillsbury Doughboy. That's pretty cool. You never know what you're gonna find out here in these hills in Richland County. But let's get started. I'm taking some time here to pre-mix the colors that I'm gonna use to lay this painting in. I'm paying a lot of attention to the relative lightness or darkness of each of the colors, and I'm using my value palette there. Next, I took some time to make a drawing and mass in the shadow shapes with a thin layer of permanent rose paint. I kind of like how it's dripping down the panel on the left side of the screen right now. And I'm using those colors that I pre-mixed at this point to just fill in all of the shapes with their color and their value. Here comes the color for those background hills. Nice atmospheric green. Now I get to dance all these shadow shapes into the painting. Love those atmospheric blues and violets. Foreground fields end up being some ochre colors, and the sky is laid in violet. On a morning like today, it's just beautiful, it's sunny. I started this painting out during morning light. I knew that out here in these Cazenovia hills, I was going to find some new material to work from. Starting a painting is always the hardest part. I made a start on this painting, but so much has changed since my first inspiration that I'm going to leave it where it is. And I'm going to come back and I'm going to work on it more on another morning. On the next morning that I come out, I know where I'm headed. I'm just going to pull the car over, get set up, and finish this painting off. As the painting is right now, I'm satisfied with my first day's work. I really spent some time nailing the colors and the values that would work well for underpainting. And now the next morning that I get out and work on this, I'm going to be able to just let loose with all of my color. And I'm going to know that I have a good composition to start from. And all I have to do is come out and finish it. I'll check in with you guys when we finish this painting off. Just taking a moment to take in the clouds floating by, seeing the Queen Anne's lace swaying in the sun. It's just a great time to get out into the valleys and the bluffs for a little plein air painting. Well, welcome back to another beautiful morning out here outside of Cazenovia. I'm again standing at the top of this valley looking out over rolling hills. I guess there's a little trout stream at the bottom of this valley. Today I'm going to finish off this painting. I've got a 16 by 20 started. I've got all of my big shapes placed on the canvas, and as usual the job today is just to add a lot more color while not breaking up the design too much. So let's go ahead, get the palette out, and get started. This was a lot of fun on this day. I just had the opportunity to kind of come in and just indicate all of these colors. You know, in that foreground there's a lot of weeds growing in the ditch, and it was late enough in the summer that a lot of those weeds were starting to blossom and come alive. There's Queen Anne's lace, there's all kinds of things happening right in the ditch. Here I'm going to start to place in that field that's just to the right of the barn. I don't know what was down there, if that was some wildflowers or maybe it was just a field of hay. But I was just catching all the impressions of the little pieces of light that were bouncing around in this valley on that morning. So much color happening. Some type of bright yellow flowers below the barn there. Look at all those different layers of colors that I'm using up in the bluffs to indicate that atmosphere. In that shot, there's actually some clouds falling across. The shadows from the clouds are falling across those background hills. Really starting to clean this painting up at this point, and I'm sure I'm going to be finishing it off in no time. Let's add the sky in. And let's finish it off. The sun is starting to fall onto the panel on the easel, so I'm going to go ahead and wrap this one up, but let's take a look. I think I set out to do what I wanted to do. I introduced a lot of color into my major masses, and because I'm in a valley and because there's all this atmospheric perspective happening, you know, all the moisture in the air is affecting the way that those hills and those bluffs behind me look. I added a lot of broken color to this one. It's what Corbin likes to call like a patchwork painting, or some people call it broken color, or some people might say that it's an impressionist technique. Whatever it is, it's just the joy of color. It's just putting the joy that is color onto the panel. I've got to get home. I've got people coming to visit me in my studio today, so I'm wrapping this one up. I'm going to pack up my easel and I'm going to head home. As always, you guys, it's nice to have you along on the journey with me. By doing these little vlogs, by making these little videos, I can have you guys come with me. And we don't have to fight over where we're gonna park the car and make the painting. So that's even better. From the side of County I out here in Richland County, somewhere outside Bunker Hill, somewhere outside Cazenovia. Thanks so much for joining me. One last look at the painting. All right, have a good day. We'll check you guys soon.